What's up YouTube? Welcome back to another review. Today's review is going to be on the SH Figuarts Kamen Rider Revi and Vice, or formerly known as Kamen Rider Revice. So as you guys can tell, these are loose. I know I'm super late to, Kamen Rider Revice. Now that there's tons of reviews out there, but I personally just kind of backtracked and got into the series, so this is why I had to pick these two up, because I really was enjoying the series and actually had just finished it. So yeah, this was definitely a no-brainer, and I was able to get this for a very good price from a seller on eBay, and it did pretty much come complete, except for maybe one or two things, which in my personal opinion isn't really that much of a deal breaker. But let's get into it itself. So starting off with Vice, looks really good, all the nice paint apps. I really liked Vice as a character, and I think that this just translated super well, and I think that this actually probably has better articulation than Revi himself. But I just love the way it looks super nice. The joints on this one are super smooth, so that was definitely something that I noticed right off the bat. So yeah, just a great looking figure itself. No real flaws with it, everything's smooth. There you go. And then for a Kamen Rider Revi, this one was a little bit more tighter on the joints, as you guys can kind of hear it. I did put what's it called? I did put like a shock oil to kind of loosen it up, but still, even in itself, you can, it's still a little bit tight, but nonetheless, still a great figure. Now, one thing that kind of threw me off about Kamen Rider Revice, and why I'm kind of late to it, was that I'm a big fan of like designs itself. And when this was kind of first revealed, I was not a fan of the suit design at all. I thought that it was just kind of pretty much out there. It was very bold and flashy, and I just didn't think that the pink and the turquoise really worked for me personally. But aside from that, I think that the character itself really made up for that suit design anyways, and that honestly is a big factor what kind of gets me into watching a Kamen Rider series or not. So with that being said, let's get into the accessories. Okay, so starting off with the accessories for Vice himself, you do get these two open, kind of relaxed hands. I guess these are kind of relaxed hands as well, but these are kind of more like like a neutral position if you were to just kind of like, be staying still, I guess. So that's that. Looks really nice. You do get two trigger hands right there, left and right, which I'll show you, which is why he comes with the accessories. Okay, and then he does come with two grabby hands as well, also for one of the accessories that Vice comes with. And then one thing I did notice, that it looks like my Vice did not come with a right fisted hand, but he does come with a left fisted hand, which to me is no problem at all, but that is something that I didn't notice right off the bat. But there you go. And then speaking of the accessories that Vice comes with, he both comes with the, I forgot what this was called, the Ohin Buster, I believe. This one is in the gun mode, right there. And then alternatively, you get the axe mode as well, which looks very, very similar to each other. And I do have Revi's hand on there because I primarily had him holding the axe. So there you go. And then for the accessories for Revi, he does come already. I did have him with a left fisted hand and then a right open hand. So that's that. But he does all come with the left open hand, as well as the right fisted hand. There you go. And then one other thing that I did like about this set was that the most recent one I saw, well, I guess I had the Saber ACHF before I eventually sold them, but I did notice that like the what do you call it, like the like the arm guards, or the hand guards, I guess, they were detachable. So you, if you wanted to put like a, you know, a left open hand, you had to remove that arm guard or hand guard and then put it on the other one. So I didn't like that feature, so I'm really glad that they did away with that, because that was a stupid gimmick in my opinion. And then Revi does come with the open left hand, as well as the a right trigger finger hand. And then, like I mentioned, I did have the right gripping hand on the Ohin Buster. And then alternatively, he does have a left trigger finger hand as well. And then last but not least, he does also come with the open relaxed hands as well, similar to Vice as well. So him and Vice pretty much share the same hand accessories, which is cool in my opinion. I like that they were made equal and they didn't give, you know, anything different than each other. So let's get into the articulation itself. So we'll start with Vice himself. So again, I did kind of briefly touch on his articulation. It's very smooth, as you guys can hear. Hopefully you guys can hear it. There's no real like rubbing against the joints. Everything is smooth. But he does have that nice neck articulation. He does have a nice up and down arm movement. Does give a bicep swivel. And for the I can't think, like the elbow bend, elbow articulation, they are only coming out to about a single joint. Whereas most of them were double jointed, but looks like with these ones, they are, their articulation is pretty limited. But then you do get that vertical and then horizontal hinge on the wrist itself. You do get a nice diaphragm cut with the waist swivel, so you can definitely get some nice crunching poses, as well as back. He does have the drop down, but I don't really like to mess with that too much. But up, down, he does have a thigh swivel. Here he does have they both have a double jointed, but Vice itself does have a double jointed knee, which is always a great thing to see. I'd rather have a single jointed elbow and then not have a, you know, as long as we could have a double jointed knee, I'm cool with that. And then he does get up and down, as well as a little bit of swivel on the ankle. Then he does get the toe joints too, so really nice range of movement for Vice himself. You know, I don't think that anything's really missed out on the articulation itself. And then pretty much for Revi, it's really the same thing, but I'll just go over it. So again, nice articulation on the neck itself. This one I do feel like it is nice too. And then I noticed on the camera, I love the way that the eyes kind of pop, more so with Revi than with Vice. Whereas like a certain angle, like you can already tell, like, you know, it kind of like lights up with the lighting. Whereas opposed to Vice, not so much. Right, so that's one thing I'm noticing right off the bat as I'm kind of posing up Revi. Okay, there you go. So yeah, that's a really nice touch. And I'm sure in pictures that's gonna photograph even better. You do get the up and down, bicep swivel. Again, single jointed elbow. I don't want to push it any further because that's pretty much the length, you know, the extent that it'll go. And then for this one, for the what's called like the forearm, or not the forearm, well, I guess the hand articulation itself, like the wrist articulation, it is very limited because of the design itself. As you can see, it's kind of cut at a diagonal. So that does limit it a little bit, but then you do get nice diaphragm joint with that, again, the waist articulation. And then back, I will say that it's not as good as Vice, but you know, it's there, it's fairly decent. And then you do get, again, the drop down, which I don't want to mess with too much, but then you do get the up and down. And I don't know if you guys can hear, but it is at least on this one, it's definitely rubbing a little bit more. So I do have to kind of be aware of that and put a little bit more oil, but I don't want to put too much, but that's something to note. And then he does have that double jointed knee like I had mentioned. And then you do, oh, there's a paint blemish that I'm gonna get rid of as well. Didn't notice that either. But yeah, here's the up down, and then his ankle pivot is pretty limited as well. So that's something to note. And then he does have that toe hinge. So something to note. And then I'm sure as you guys are looking at the revice driver, you will notice that he does not have any vice stamp, or specifically the Rex vice stamp. That is something that also did not come with this set, but you know, for me personally, I didn't really care. I was more so looking into the fact that, you know, if he came complete with like the weapons and then most of the hand accessories, you know, I'm completely fine with that. So it's not a huge deal breaker to me, but you know, if you're someone that is, you know, a little bit more of a stickler for details, then yeah, that is a big, you know, I guess it'd be a big drawback in that regard. But all in all, I'm really enjoying this set. I highly recommend it if you guys are fans of Revice. This set is definitely growing on me, and you know, this is hopefully not opening up the floodgates and, you know, leading me into getting other you know, figures from this line. But if I do stop here, then I'm completely fine with having these two. But let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care. Peace.